Good evening, everybody. We got a good show tonight. It's something that we've been waiting on for a long time. We've been quite disappointed in our community that we did not have decentralized Oracle. A lot of projects have been waiting for these for this system, and Stu and Tetra Labs decided to step up and get it done. So tonight, I'm joined by Axis, Chrispyman, and Scott, and Stu from Tetra to discuss, dissect, learn, figure everything out about the Oracle, and hopefully it'll turn the tide near for Pulsechain. So Stu, floor is yours, sir.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks for having us as well, and good to see everybody. It's been a long, red, bloody time for everybody, but good time to be building as well, of course. So, yeah, Signum. So it's a fork of Teller, and we're bringing it to Pulsechain. It's done. It's ready. We are in a situation at the moment where we just launched the faucet with the help of Jacob from PulseBot the other day there, so you can go and get yourself some test tokens and be prepared for the test version of Signum, which is going to launch on mainnet. So we're testing it physically on mainnet, not on testnet, because you can't test this on testnet. So this is going to be available this weekend for testing and playing around with. We're really happy with the way that things are right now, and ultimately within maybe a week or two that this is fully live on Pulsechain, and protocols that need true DeFi, trustless information and data to feed into their smart contracts are going to be able to have that imminently on Pulsechain. So that's the current status where we are right now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So could you give us a little bit of background what an Oracle is and why it is so important to the Pulsechain blockchain?
Yeah, so the most important thing about any kind of Oracle is where does the data come from? So if you look at examples like Chainlink, for example, which is on multiple blockchains, it's trusted because it's, because so many protocols use it, but it does come from a centralized kind of entity. And then you've got decentralized options like Teller on the Ethereum network, which is fed by the community. So rather than trusting somebody to give you an API link or a data feed or access to a database of real-time information, things like what is the price of gold? Okay, now you can go and find that right now online, and if you trust that for that source, then that's fine. But when it comes to a DeFi perspective, where you want to get information that is trustless, it needs to be verified, and that's where Signum effectively comes in for the Pulsechain. Is it provides the ability to feed information on chain that can be delivered to smart contracts that is ultimately verified by the community, and that's really important from a decentralization perspective. It's really important for DeFi protocols. It's really important to have tools like this that allow for Pulsechain to be able to grow as well. So we seen it as a very important factor that was missing right now. We are bringing it to Pulsechain for two reasons, because number one, we want to have it for Tetra, okay, but we don't actually need it. We don't physically need it, and we can get into that later if we need to. And then the second part is that the community needs it. So we felt that we were in a position where we were agnostic or never had any self-interest in being able to bring this to the Pulsechain. So we don't have a stable coin. We don't have a tool that requires this platform for it to function, so we can bring it to the market in a decentralized way, as well as give access to everybody and have a fair launch without having to give anything away to anybody as well, which is really important.
All right. Nice. Axis, Crispy, you guys got anything?
Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about like I guess mainnet launch plans, also like token allocations, what that's going to look like going into this?
Sure. Yeah, let's get straight to the meat on the bone, right?
Well, like maybe I should have started with, you know,
That's all
how
right.
does it work technically,
I'm
and
kidding.
Well,
because I do have those questions as well, but I think, you know, just to get that out of the way, probably because, you know, it's going to be on everybody's mind.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you? So maybe one step before that, how do you anticipate projects using this information?
Well, they can use the information in any way that they want. They have the ability to be able to request any kind of data that they require, and so there's a few different stages as to how that can work. So let's say, for example, Crispy, that you've got a protocol and you need a specific piece of data to be able to make your protocol function. Now, that could be the price of Pulse in a USD format, and you need a time-weighted average every 10 minutes, or you need a spot price immediately every block, okay? You need to have a way of being able to get that information. Now, how can you get that information that requires you not to have to run a centralized server like an Amazon Web Service or like any kind of server, you know, in your bedroom, right, or in your dining room? You know, I've got a server in my dining room that gets the price of Pulse every block, and it delivers it to a smart contract on chain. There's one single point of failure, and that is the server in your dining room. Okay, so the way that this works is that you can go to the front end, and you can request any information, not just the price of Pulse and dollar value. You can request any spot price on chain. You can get off chain information. You could get the spot price of gold every 30 minutes if you wanted, if that's what you need for your smart contract, or you're a gambling platform and you have got a market available for people that Ben Armstrong is fighting whoever it is he last fought, and who's going to win. Now, how do you deliver the information of who won on chain to then pay out those that won and those that lost? Signum provides the ability to be able to do that, to deliver on and off-chain information that is governed and disputed by the community through dispute mechanisms and reward mechanisms that force people to be good reporters of that information.
And then in order to do this, you have to have a certain amount of like collateral, right? And I don't know if that collateral is locked or what that looks like. Maybe you could dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I can certainly give you an overview, and we can get more into the technicals and get Scott involved in that part of the discussion. But ultimately, you as a reporter of information, so there's two parts to this. So part number one.
By the way, this is my favorite part. It's something that you guys are doing that's unique. I think you said this is unique to what you guys are doing with the two, the public and the private.
Yeah, we can.
networks.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Which on a technical level opens up for protocols to do really unique things that haven't been done before. So yeah, I can't wait to hear more.
For sure. Well, let's talk about how Signum will work as a straight fork situation from what Teller is to what we're going to provide, where it's the most decentralized kind of element, and that is the sort of public side of the reporting. There's two elements to this. So you want a feed, you want a data feed, or let's say it's a one-off feed, like there's a boxing match, and you know, fighter 1 and fighter 2 fighting each other. It's a gambling platform, and we need, as a gambling platform, we need to know what the outcome is of that fight to then pay out the winners and the losers. So what happens is that you, as a gambling platform, can systematically, automatically, or however you want to manage it, can make a request for that data. Okay, and you can tip that data. You can put funds into that data feed that ultimately reward those that report that information back that comes to the smart contracts. So the first step is you as a protocol need some form of information either regularly or as a one-off. You make a request for it, and that goes to the blockchain. And then all of the reporters that are here, that are ready, that have tokens, have the opportunity to go ahead and stake those tokens into the protocol and make that report either on a regular basis or as a one-off thing. Okay. Now you stake those tokens and there is a minimum. So the minimum report amount is for Signum is going to be $750 of Signum tokens. Now it doesn't matter if the price is 10x or it's went down 10x. It doesn't matter. The price of the token is irrelevant, only for the perspective that the value of tokens that you need to stake at that precise moment in time is $750, and that's your collateral to make the report. So if you
it's locked in.
It's
locked in one time.
Correct. Yeah. So once you've locked in those tokens and you say that fighter A won the fight, and you're the first person to make that report and the contract to use that report, you get rewarded. So you get your stake back, obviously, and you get the rewards that the requester of the information has put up for the data. Okay. Now, how do we make sure that that data is correct? So that comes down to the rest of the network. So let's say, for example, that fighter A won the fight, but me as a reporter took a chance because I put $1 million that fighter B won the fight, and I'm prepared to go ahead and, you know, take a chance and say for $750, I'm going to say that, you know, fighter B won the fight. Maybe my data will get through. No, it won't, because the rest of the community then has the opportunity to go ahead and dispute any incorrect information. And if they are successful in that dispute, then me that then falsified that information loses my stake, that $750 completely. And it goes through the process of the governance. And if it needs to go to that point where the correct information always reaches the contracts and gets to the correct point that needs to get to for, you know, things to progress to the next stage. So you are basically using collateralized Signum tokens to get rewards if you're a good reporter, or risk losing if you want to participate in bad reporting. And if you participate in bad reporting, then your stake goes to those that call you out.
All right.
I realized you mentioned gambling because it's easier to kind of explain out the use case, but there are probably a ton of use cases that will be coming out of this that people haven't even thought of yet, right? Because so I'll just one quick thing about this, right? But the data that I work with, you guys know I'm not using blockchain contracts to produce reports and that type of stuff. And so quite often when I'm talking about what I'm doing, there's always lag time in the data, and I'm relying on all these sources. Some of the sources show up and disappear. Some of them aren't as reliable. And so from a smart contract point of view, it's a different story, right? If you're going to be doing something that's going to be shifting value, you want that information to be available, auditable, visible, you know, and having some sort of mechanisms. This is very intriguing to me because I can see how people could even write smart contracts, maybe, that are going to specifically get this information, and maybe even lead to better utility that way.
Yeah, for sure. There is an unlimited use case, just for the perspective that you can garner any kind of information that you want on or off chain and get it into a smart contract and use that in a way that you need to use it. So it's infrastructure, it's stuff that we need on Pulsechain that allows DeFi protocols to be driven forward, and to also entice other protocols that exist in other places to want to come and do business on our network. Because if we don't have this, then they can't do business, they can't operate properly, and it's not DeFi. And they're definitely not going to put themselves into positions where they launch in a centralized fashion on a network that is a bit sketchy still at the moment, just in regards to various different legal sort of standpoints. You know, I'm comfortable about that. I think that's all going to be all right. But once we get through that, we need to have platforms in place to allow for these DeFi protocols to properly look at what we have on Pulsechain and say, well, actually, we can go there and we can do business and we can operate in a decentralized fashion without any risk to us as founders or to our customers, because we want it to be trustless.
Hey, about how many projects do you think are waiting on this, just on Pulsechain?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer, Randy, because I think that there are a lot of projects that already, or there are a few projects that already exist on Pulsechain right now that need this now, and they already exist in that fashion. And I'm not going to go into detail of that, but that's up to them, and it's up to their communities to want to move in that direction. If they do or they don't, then that's fine. I'm all right. I know that there's more projects that definitely will want to build on Pulsechain later down the line that will definitely utilize this. So, communities are going to need to hold accountable existing protocols that may need to be more decentralized. And if they don't have the tools to make that available to their users right now, then we'll give it to them if they want it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And PulsePot, I'm going to use PulsePot as an example because I bought it early on and the price went flying to $20.
Yeah.
But PulsePot floundered. And the reason why it floundered is because it didn't have the full capabilities available to it yet.
Yeah.
It didn't have a decentralized Oracle. So there's a lot of things that I know that the team wants to bring and have on their gaming platform, but they can't because they didn't have this capability yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, generally speaking, I think that, I love Jacob to bits, by the way, and he's been massively helpful with development. He produced the faucet contracts in the front end for the test system that we've got up and running at the minute, and just about to launch all of that. You can already get the test tokens from Jacob's faucet that he provided. He has the best faucet, right, for all of the stuff that he went through with PulsePot, right? But just to come back to the point that you were making, I think that a lot of projects kind of had an expectation, and that's not a bad thing, to have some level of expectation that there would be some level of decentralized Oracle services, whether others said that they would provide it or not, or whether they did or they didn't. It doesn't make any difference. Projects that have slated to launch at specific points that needed decentralized oracles that now, up until now, have not been in a position where they've been able to utilize a decentralized oracle, have had to come up with their own method of being able to facilitate their project needs in such a way that still holds some level of trust, but enough to not make it too much a concern. And that's got us by until this point, I think. And it's definitely time to step it up. And Jacob, I don't think he would mind us saying from a PulsePot perspective and other things that he has planned as well, that he's a big supporter of what we're doing because he needs it. And again, it comes back to us being the ones that launch it, because if Jacob was to go ahead and launch a Teller fork tomorrow, right, there's a bit of self-interest there, and it might get a bit more scrutiny for the community, So I think that it's good. It's a good opportunity for us to bring it to the market, to give it to those that need it, without any kind of worry from those that need it that there's any sort of bad play at stake, if that makes sense. And of course, it's fully decentralized anyway. So even if anybody were to try and sort of do things like that, then it would just get called out with the community, and rewards would be circulated in abundance. So
absolutely. I look, I know we have the SolidX crash game coming, and we needed a random number generator. And I don't know what the dev team decided to use, but I believe a random number generator is part of this as well, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I know that just for our background conversation, I hope you don't mind me saying, Randy, but you guys have had to come up with your own solution to a random number generator because there is no decentralized way of being able to do it. Excuse me. So Teller has a random number generator. It's not particularly effective specifically for things like crash games or high throughput gambling applications that need multiple different random numbers every block or things like that. So yes, Teller does provide a random number option, but it's not quite good enough for that high throughput. It's all right if you were running a lottery like once a week, let's say, or once every 24 hours. Something like that would be perfect for it, right? But if you need to have a random number or X number of random numbers every block, then this is not going to solve the problem for that. However, we have been in discussions with another well-known dev on Pulsechain that has, in fact, come up with a decentralized random number generator that runs in its own smart contracts. It has fees built in. And very, very quickly after mainnet launch, we're going to look to integrate this fully audited code and tested and all of that into what we're doing with Signum. So it will become more than just a Teller fork. It will become more than just the private thing, which I know Axis spoke about that, and we've not really touched on that yet, but it is an important factor. We are doing more than just a Teller fork, but the Teller fork is the core fundamental elements, and then there's a couple of other really important things that are going to come on top of that, either at launch or very soon after, that will actually bootstrap it to allow it to be the oracle that it always should have been, specifically on Ethereum, and we're going to deliver that for Pulsechain.
Beautiful. Do you guys have like some tech questions so we can get Scott's brain involved here?
Yeah.
He's thinking break some of this down.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, what's the development time been like? I know it seems like it was just like a month or a month and a half ago that I heard about it for the first time, and so maybe the timeline, and then is this fork like a direct fork, or is there like a lot that went into it, or how are you guys adapting it to maybe make it better? Those kinds of questions.
Sure. We started this probably close to 3 months ago, I would say, to get to here. And then regarding it being if it's a direct fork or not, it is a direct fork on the public side. The public side of Signum operates identically to the public side or to Teller on any of the Teller chains. The main changes and effort went into the unique features on the private side to make sure that isn't going to introduce any problems into the tokenomics, as well as potential security holes for anyone who's using that private side. But yeah, about a 3-month process. It's been very high speed, but at the same time, we very diligent in making sure that what we're doing will solve the problem that the chain has, and solve it in a safe and decentralized way.
Yeah, and was there any well, number one was the circulating supply of tokens, that same supply is equally effective on the private and the public side, right? So like the same token set serves both networks. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the other thing was okay, so like looking at Teller from the outside in, has there been any shortcomings to Teller? Like where does Teller, the software, fall short, and what kind of things have we done or could we do to solve for those things?
Yeah, so the biggest problem, I would say, with Teller, and why it's not as widely used as Chainlink, for example, is the simple fact that it is publicly reported. So there is always the risk of a bad actor coming in and reporting bad data to usually to execute some sort of a flash loan attack on a project or some other type of attack. So that's always sort of been the risk with any project using Teller as the oracle or the primary oracle for their price calculations. So what we've done is we've basically created a new feature, which is private Teller, which allows projects to effectively deploy their own
private
Signum.
Signum.
Sorry, private Signum. Private Signum, which allows projects to develop their own oracle contract. They have control of who is allowed to report prices, which basically gives them control to make sure trusted sources and trusted reporters are the only ones who are allowed to actually report for their feed. So that eliminates projects having to. So one thing that projects would have to do if they use Teller was they would have to have like a 20-minute delay before actually using the price that the Teller feed reported, because there needs to be a time gap there for the public to report a dispute or to dispute the price if it's not accurate. With the private side, because you can whitelist specific reporters that are known trusted reporters who never report badly, it could be the project themselves are one of the reporters. They don't have to have that 20-minute delay anymore. So, there's a whole suite of decentralized applications that not having to have that 20-minute delay really opens up what they're able to do without having to, suffer the risk of a flash loan attack or some other exploit.
Have you guys considered potentially doing like some sort of like a leaderboard or some sort of like system where the public can see like that, or maybe this already exists, where that you can see the top ranking reporters, so that you could almost like put up bounties on your private test net or your private net or whatever to pull in the best reporters?
Access the the thing, that's actually a really good point. I hear what you're saying there now. I wasn't quite sure you were going with that, but yeah, certainly that is definitely something that we could consider looking at, so that good reporters kind of get like a 5-star rank, and might want to get invited into the private side to be good reporters for projects. Ultimately, though, I think it's important to keep in mind that even though on the private side, you're effectively as if you're a protocol and you need an oracle, but you're not in a position where you're in a position where you need fast information, but you're not prepared to go to the public for it. The beauty of the private side of Signum is that you effectively have an oracle factory where you can generate your own oracle, report your own prices, okay? But the public can still scrutinize those prices. So if you report a bad price to yourself, or a whitelisted account reports a bad price back to the contract, it can be disputed by the community, even though they can't report the prices to those private feeds. And that's the benefit of both worlds with this.
That's very cool.
So it's a big deal.
Can I ask, how do we make money with this?
You have to learn to be a reporter, Randy.
Yeah, I understand that, but what are the technical difficulties you think it would be for someone to set up a bunch?
Well, Scott might actually be quite a good person to answer that question. Go ahead, Scott, if you.
Sure. So, I mean, it's definitely not it's not as easy as clicking a couple buttons on a web page, but there is a pretty thorough instruction for it, and it's a robust Python script. And Python you can run on any operating system, so there's no limitation to where you have to be on Linux or anything like that. It's just really a matter of you got to have some technical experience with a Windows command line, and be able to follow instructions. And after that, once you set it up, it's the Telliot feeds. We call it Signum feeds. It's just a Python script. Once it's set up, it runs, and honestly, it's one of those things that once you've done it once or twice, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. It's not too complex. The script takes a lot of the complexity away.
Yeah. It's akin to setting up a validator. It's probably easier than setting up.
It's easier if you could actually run it on your, like if you had a home validator computer, could you just run this as well on the same machine?
Yeah. It's a very, very low CPU cycle, script that just you can run in the background.
Very nice. You guys want to touch on distributions and stuff now? Like, what are we looking at? Is it WinSack?
I never even knew there was a token. Is there a token?
Yeah, there is a token.
Yeah, there's a token. Yeah, there needs to be a token. So from a distribution perspective, it's been a tough one. It's been quite a tricky one, because what we want to do is we want to get the token into the hands of protocols that need it, is number one. That's kind of the highest priority, is get tokens initially to protocols that we trust initially at this stage, that are building on Pulsechain, that need the Oracle service. We get the tokens to those guys at a cost, obviously. at a discounted cost. And that is the phase that we're in at the moment. That is, we're calling this the sort of strategic stroke liquidity distribution phase. And there's only going to be 5% available to those protocols at this stage right now. And they do get it at a discount. They're getting it at a discount because they need it to run their protocols. They need it to run their smart contracts. They're not going to go and sell this stuff on the market after it launches, which is great, right? We know that's the case. We can't totally mitigate against that. There might be one or two, but you know, they'll get called out by the community by themselves anyway, so that's fine. But the people that we want to get the token in the first instance is protocols that need it to fund feeds of data to their smart contracts. And they get that at a discount. And what that means is that that distribution of tokens is going to go out to reporters. It's going to get kind of be drip fed over time. It's not going to be market dumped on day one when liquidity pools are made available. The second phase of distribution will be an initial private sale, where about, I think it was 10%. Yeah, it's 10% of the tokens at a slightly less of a discount will be made available to anyone that's a protocol on Pulsechain right now or plan to be. So it's a bit less of a strict, availability as to who you are to get your hands on the tokens at that stage. Again, at a discount, and less of a discount than obviously the first stage. And then the final stage is the public sale. It is a public sale, and there will be 35% of the tokens available. All of the funds that are raised through that phase will fully go into liquidity across various different pools that we've already started to map out. And they will get it at a very small discount at launch price. But the last people that we want to get the tokens at that stage are the ones that are actually going to be reporters. We want reporters to get as much tokens as they can to be good reporters. So people can speculate on the token, and I definitely encourage them to do so, because it could be great, especially when you're in a situation where you've got protocols that need the tokens that have had them in the first instance and are not going to sell them because they want to fund feeds for their protocols. Our hope is that we get enough tokens into the hands of people that are interested in being reporters or already know how to be reporters, to get themselves into a situation where they can actually help to secure the network and provide information to dispute the feeds, to dispute all of the reports, and be reporters themselves, of course, to actually then get a share of the distribution of tokens as they happen. And we're going to have a few small airdrops just to try and help promote things. There is going to be now this is news, so nobody here definitely knows this anyway, but there is going to be a referral program for the public sale. So anyone is going to be able to go to the front end in the public sale, generate their own link, and share that with their own communities to effectively get a bonus that they can keep for themselves or distribute to their communities or do as they see fit, or provide liquidity, or there's no limitations on that. So we want to incentivize those that think of this, think of the perfect protocol that needs the oracle, that gets in at the earliest stage to buy tokens at a discount, that then generates a referral link to get all of their community involved in reporting for their project. They get a discount. The protocol gets a kickback. The protocol can distribute that as an airdrop, and they are securing their own protocol. This is what we're trying to present for the Pulsechain at this stage, and this is kind of going to be what we hope is the Kickstarter to effectively make this the de facto oracle for Pulsechain.
Yeah, this is when I wish I was a little bit more technically smart, so I could take advantage of stuff like this, but I'm a marketer. I do marketing things, right? So yeah, congratulations. I think this is going to be really good. We needed it, and I thought we were going to have one a year ago, and it didn't happen. So just twiddling our thumbs, waiting for this capability. So
quick question about like the 10-minute thing. So so in this case, like there's a cap, like you can only get a price update every 10 minutes, right? Am I right in saying that?
Scott, do you want to be 100% crystal clear on that one?
It cut out a little bit. What updates every 10 minutes? What was
so?
the question?
Do you like when we're getting price feeds reported? It caps off at like, you know, the fastest you're going to get a new update is every 10 minutes, or is it faster than that?
So no, it can be every block.
Really? Okay. This is cool, guys. Like you if you can update the price feed every block, and this is it's just that I think I'm tracking now. So you can get updates every block, but only on a 10-minute cycle. Do you know if they've been getting bad price feed for the last 10 minutes?
Actually,
the public side mainly. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Scott, I was just going to try and clarify on that. So this 10-minute time weighted average thing comes from what we've been spoon fed by forks of Liquidity, right? So Liquidity on Ethereum actually uses Chainlink for their price feeds. Okay.
Gotcha.
And they use Teller on Ethereum as a backup for their main Chainlink price feeds. So Teller is not necessarily the best option for a Liquidity fork anywhere, and the reason for that is that because you can have nefarious players that report bad prices. So what Liquidity done on Ethereum is that their backup solution is a 10-minute time weighted average of prices for Ethereum and USD from Teller. Now, 10 minutes, a 10-minute time weighted average, that might not be the right thing for you for your protocol. Maybe a 5-minute time weighted average, or it depends how much volume but there's loads of different things that play into that. You might have a protocol that has delayed release, or it's like again, I'm just going to come back to a kind of like a lottery example where like a payout happens once every so often. That's right. So then the time weighted average, that price is less significant in the short term. It's kind of a longer term thing. So it kind of depends on what it is that you need to do. And that comes down to project founders and developers, how they need to consume that information, and how quick they need it, and how important it is as well.
Can I add a little?
Go on.
The other thing that you can do, so on the private side, for example, you're not limited to a reporting time lock like you are on the public side. On the public side, you get one report per 12 hours per stake. You can get 2 reports if you double your stake, 3 reports if you triple it, etc. But on the private side, you're not limited by that. You can report as often as you want. I mean, about the fastest you can realistically get a report in is every block. But yeah, some projects like Stu was saying, they may not need that. So there's also conditional reporting you can do, which would be anytime the price changes by more than 0.1%, update the price, things like that. So it's really up to the project. But yeah, I mean, as often as every block, or as less often as they want, it's up to them.
Very good. Yeah, I like that flexibility for sure. Trying to understand. I'm trying to think about all the different applications. It's nearly endless, because you could solve for inefficiencies on the time weighted thing, on the software, on your protocol side, like you were saying in that example, Stu.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like it's good to have optionality, and I'm glad that we're getting this, because we don't have we don't have a chain link over here. So like the fact that you guys took it upon yourselves to build this out, it feels good that we have an option.
The private side of Signum is arguably as good as, if not potentially better than Chainlink, because you're providing a centralized solution of feeds from the project themselves that come back to the project smart contracts. But the community have the ability to be able to dispute that information. Whereas if you use Chainlink, you're using a fully centralized system that nobody has any visibility about at all. So
I got a question.
You can get the speed,
Yeah.
but have the scrutiny from the community at the same time because it's open and trustless. That's what our private feeds effectively provide.
Yeah.
It's Chainlink Plus.
Couple things come to mind. Like one is like how do you ensure that? It's a couple things. Number one is like, okay, let's say that I host a centralized private reporter, and it services just my own personal protocol, my own little thing that I got going. And let's say you became like the bag of shit on Pulsechain, like everyone hated you, and then is it possible for like the public to, like, let's say like the public bonded together and said, we don't like that guy, so we're just going to say he's reporting bad information, but he's not actually reporting bad information? And is there like a fail-safe or something like that?
Scott, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I mean, anyone can report a bad price. I mean, if the public consensus is that he's wrong, then it would be voted on, and if the vote goes through that his price is wrong, it's wrong, but generally there's more people in the public than the number of people that hate one specific person.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be a theoretical where that could happen, probably. Okay, but then the other question was like, so then the reverse of that would be, is there like a, so I kind of understand how the original token set's going to get distributed. Roughly 15% is going to be distributed to protocols that need it, and then additionally to like that first private round or whatever. But beyond that, is there a way that we can distribute these coins so vast, so broadly, and have so many reporters that the integrity of the system is so much more strengthened by it? Is there stuff that we could do to incentivize more people to become a reporter, or more people to audit the reporting?
Yeah. There's an additional 15% that's being held back that we're basically just saying it's no expectations, because we might do some airdrops. We might reward good reporters in the future to give them more of an ability to be, good reporters, even more so. With the ability of more tokens to be able to be good reporters. So there's definitely going to be a general aura of rewarding good reporters and encouraging people to be good reporters, because the reward to do so vast outweighs the reward to try and fuck around, basically. So people can do that, but then they ultimately risk their tokens in doing so as well, because if they do that, then they could lose their stake. So that's always the risk. And this is a battle-hardened protocol that has stood the test of time on Ethereum at a much, much higher cost on Ethereum for a much longer time. So if this was a new thing that nobody'd ever heard of, then I think that there would be a bit more validity in those questions. But I think that overall, if the reward is always there to promote good reporting, and that the penalty is so great to be a bad reporter, that there is a very strong discouragement to do that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Teller price chart right now from the beginning in 2019. I actually put up kind of like a bait tweet as we were going live, talking about the price of Teller. But I did like 140x in its first year, 2 years after it launched. And let's see, I don't even know what else we got on here for circuit. So there's like a circulating supply of like 2.6 mil. Are we looking at the same kind of numbers? Like, are we, in terms of units, are we gonna expand the units, or I don't know? What are you thinking on that front?
The initial mint for the token is, so for testnet, it allows for up to 5,000 reporters. That does not include what's in liquidity. It doesn't include, you know, what's in contracts and things like that as well. So there is kind of quite a limited availability. I think that once the pre-sales and the private sales and public sales and stuff are finalized, and we know where we are from a percentage wise, we know what the price is going to be at launch. So we know what the launch price is already going to be, and it wouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. In fact, I already told you. So it's like $750 to be a reporter. I don't know why I'm trying to figure out that I not want to say that, or so it doesn't matter. So the launch price is going to be 1 cent, okay, per token, and it's going to be 75,000 tokens to be a reporter. If the price goes up to, if it doubles, then you need half as many tokens to be a reporter, right? That's the way it works. But the burn and mint functionality that's already built into the token contracts compensate for that, so that there is kind of a variance within it. So there's always enough tokens on the market available for those that want to. What we don't want to do is we don't want to over mint tokens so that we give out like and distribute all of these tokens for those that got involved in each of the different pre-sales. For me to be sitting with like a massive baggie, like 60% of the supply, and it's like, well, we said we'd put 35 into liquidity, we said we'd keep back 15% for this. I've got all these extra tokens. Do we just burn them? Do we do? We want to try and mint the amount of tokens that are relative to those that get involved at the time. We are in a bear market as well. You know, it's difficult to really get anybody's attention in this community these days, just because of the way that things are. So whether we keep back an extra percentage for distribution or adding into liquidity later down the line, I don't know. But when we publish the information on the website, that'll be final. There'll be no kind of retraction for that. So let's see how we get on with the kind of private sale. Let's see how we get on with the testing, and then what the appetite is for the protocol when we actually make it available to the public as well. And that'll kind of give us our mint. And I think that we're definitely going to be doing enough to make sure that everybody's got the opportunity to at least be aware of this, to perhaps want to get involved, especially if they're currently being validators for the network. That this is another great opportunity to kind of put your hardware to work at a very low cost to just kind of get extra revenue in for being a good reporter.
And there's all kinds. I think I want Crispy to talk to this. There's all kinds of applications. Just if you had your own private oracle that could pull price feed data from the chain, like that could serve the back end of a proprietary data and analytics service. Like that has nothing to do with, other, on-chain protocol that would affect, the market in any which way. This actually opens up like a whole new venue of products and services that can happen off chain too. So maybe Crispy wants to talk a little bit about that.
So in the work that I do, there's a lot of people that, a lot of customers or clients that talk about wanting to take action on chain based on the real world. And so, gross example, not financial advice, but we know that, for instance, certain crypto tends to move with NASDAQ. And so, having a bot that can get a feed that can understand what's happening with the stock market, sure, people will figure it out themselves and do it, right? That would be an angle, a lot of stuff, a lot of the use cases as a user of a protocol, I'm not going to have a lot to do, right? But if I was actually deving and I wanted to do something, maybe I would be looking at that. Maybe it's gonna, the feed will operate as a secondary feed of price information, right? Because so if one goes down, the other one, you can actually like balance them against each other, right? So that you understand that, hey, if something's misreporting so greatly that there's a problem, go take a look at something. So yeah, there's so many different things we could be using this for, I think, on chain. So
yeah, absolutely. I do have Armand's got a question that I don't know how to answer it because this isn't launched yet. When we stake $750 worth of Signum tokens. Now the price fluctuates, and as long as we haven't reported incorrectly, we could unstake in the future, correct?
Yep.
Our tokens.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So as long as you're reporting great, you're fine. You're not going to lose your tokens. I think that's I'm trying to.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Does rewards get paid
That's
to the stake, or does it get to pay to your wallet directly?
To your wallet.
Oh, okay. So you could just basically set up a bunch of stakes when the price was low and become a reporter and let that stuff ride indefinitely and milk the rewards, right? It's like
he's thinking like me. That's what I was thinking. I was like, everything's so down right now that this is the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, Randy's got a knack for finding things like $2 and 9-inch early. So yeah. So I have an idea of, I haven't stopped building myself. Crispy hasn't stopped building. I think we have an idea of something we want to do with our own private reporters and stuff. So it's like, this kind of opens up. I mean, it's exciting. It opens up a whole new avenue for us to be able to build something that I think is really going to have a lot of value for the chain. So I just want to express my my earnest interest in it, and I think it's I commend you guys for actually getting this thing going. Sometimes you hear people are working on something. It's like, yeah, well, when is that actually going to come? Like they'll promise you anything, but you just never really know if it's actually going to come. So it sounds like this is coming soon. It's like working on testnet. So, commend you guys on that. And, I hope this is the beginning of like setting the bottom with the tech, right? We're here for the tech.
Yeah. So
I just saw Neil just showed up. Neil for T-Shares, another one of our Tetra guys. Give him a shout out there.
One thing I wanted to just add to that person's question, Randy, was the other thing too is if the price were to double, let's say he stakes 75,000 tokens, the price doubles, he technically would have enough tokens now to be effectively 2 reporters, meaning he can report twice per reporter lock period.
Interesting.
So
would he have to unstake first, then restake?
No, it just happens automatically.
Wow.
Yeah, so he could also pull half of the tokens out and still have his reporter access for one report.
That's shiny.
So based on the way the teller price chart moved, like you'd actually, you're really disincentivized to pull because you're basically becoming more powerful in the network as the price rises.
Goes up.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's cool. Yeah, no, that was, you basically gave away the sauce, Scott.
Sorry.
It's good though. No, it clicked for me right there when you said that. So, you want to be in early on this thing. I did have a question about the mint and burn. Is anyone able to mint and burn, or just the admin key guys mint and burn, or how does that work?
It all happens automatically within the rewards for the token contract or for the auto pay contract for the token.
So theoretically, it inflates or deflates proportionally to the needs of the network. I know that's not exact, but
that's exactly right.
Effectively, it will always pretty much float around the same value, though. It'll try to keep within a range, but yes, it does inflate and deflate.
Okay, interesting. So this is kind of like that tech that oh my god, what's the name of that algo? Well, that algorithmic stable coin that would it tried to be a peg at $1, and so it would if it depegged in one direction or the other, it would mint or burn this portion of the supply, even if it was in your wallet. So for example, in this, it'd be like I have $100,000 of this token in my wallet, and then let's say it depegged and went to $1.10. Well, it would actually burn 10% of the supply, not just out of my wallet, but out of everybody's wallets, so that you're not sitting on 110. Yeah, rebase token. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
It's kind of like that, but it doesn't affect individual users' wallets.
Okay. Yeah, so, and I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to expand on that a little bit?
It's not a stable coin either. Remember?
No, it's not a stable coin. It's just it's a mint and burn function within the rewards. So like the money that gets spent to request a feed gets burned, and the reward that gets paid out gets minted. It's relatively, it's not even anything near rebase. It's relatively minute. It's almost a non-factor because in most circumstances the supply is going to almost always be about the same. It'll just fluctuate a little bit based on how many are sitting out there for being rewarded and how many are not, basically.
Right. And that's important for the stability of the system, and that's what actually allows for this thing to actually perform.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
I know we're coming up on the top of the hour here, and I know Randy said he had a hot meeting, so I don't know how much time we have left, but yeah.
Stu, you wanna wrap it up with any final thoughts, or anybody have any other questions before I say that? Does anybody got another Crispy? No. I'm excited. I think we really needed this. Obviously, we've needed this for over a year. And everyone just sat in their hands hoping that another protocol would launch, and they didn't do it. So Stu and team stepped up and said, you know what? We'll take care of that. And now they're bringing it to the market. So I'm, as an entrepreneur, I applaud you. And I totally I understand where you guys are coming from, and I know all of us are going to try to figure out ways to
Capitalize.
Yeah, capitalize on this. Absolutely.
Good. That's what it's there for. And the good news is that the contracts are live on mainnet right now for testing. We're just going through the final checklist, and we're going to make it available for everybody to get involved and play around with this weekend. And all being well, that we expect it to be well. Imminently thereafter, I'm not going to say a week, but could be, that it is fully production live on mainnet. So yeah, come and check us out on the Telegram group. I don't know if you put links in the YouTube or anything like that, Randy, but yeah, it's basically Go Signum as the Telegram channel, and the X, formerly known as Twitter, as Signum Oracle. So head over, join us, come and participate, get involved, get in early, learn how to be a reporter, and that'll probably do quite well out of that, I think. All
right. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody that came. And you guys really helped me out with this. Like I said, as a non-techie, having Chrispyman and Access here, and obviously Scott, the builder, to help. I really appreciate it. So guys, have a great weekend, and let's hope that we have green candles soon.
We're setting the bottom now. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
See you.
Bye.
All right.